In this lesson, we will be looking at how we, as individuals, view and interpret the world that we see. Most of the time, we correctly interpret what we see, but there may be many opportunities while flying to misjudge distances and relative movement. Before we look at illusions which relate specifically to aviation, let us consider illusions in general. Illusions can occur in many different ways. Have a look at these standard illustrations of perspective, shape, and form. They all illustrate the fact that what we expect to see is not always what is there. Our memory and experience will produce models into which we try to fit things. In image A, the center lines are in fact the same length, as is the case in image B. The single lines in image C are straight, despite the appearance that they bend. In image D, which line passes through the two vertical lines? Images E and F can be visualized, but they could not be constructed in real life. This misinterpretation of facts may be compounded by a mismatch of the messages from the eye, the ear, and the proprioception senses. As regards illusions during flight, we are not concerned here with flying in instrument meteorological conditions. We are concerned with illusions in visual meteorological conditions, caused by false messages or the false interpretation of messages from the sense organs. Let us look first of all at those situations where the body is actually giving false messages for physiological reasons. We have seen in the lesson on hearing and balance in part 1 of Human Performance and Limitations how the hair cells in the semicircular canals and in the otoliths bend with acceleration and send messages to the brain to tell it what is happening. This bending and straightening can, however, be the cause of misleading information being sent to the brain, thereby causing illusions. Somatogravic illusion occurs during straight-line acceleration. The hairs in the otoliths bend backwards, giving the impression that one is pitching up. During deceleration, the reverse is true, and the impression is given of pitching down. The oculogravic illusion is best described as a visual component of the somatogravic illusion. When the aircraft accelerates, there is a backward rotation of the resultant force vector, and the pilot feels that fixed objects, such as lights or stars, are also moving in the same direction as in the somatogravic illusion. Where there are many outside references, this illusion is not too much of a problem. But on a dark night, the illusion that the stars or lights are moving upwards can be so strong that the pilot may be tempted to react by pitching down. Somatogyral illusion occurs during slow turns, for example a turn to the right, when the hairs are not given enough stimulus to bend, or in long, steady turns, when the turn may be continuing, but the acceleration has stopped. In both these cases, the hairs remain in or resume the upright position, telling the brain that it is flying straight and level, because they only measure acceleration, not angle. If the aircraft is taken out of the turn to fly straight and level, the hair cells will bend to the left, telling the brain that it is turning left. This is known as the leans. When experiencing the somatogyral illusion of turning to the left, when the aircraft has resumed a straight and level flight path. The illusion may be increased by the ocular gyral illusion. The effect of this illusion is that objects with a fixed reference to the observer, such as the instruments, will also appear to move to the left of the flight path. The graveyard spin is the same illusion, but with rather more serious consequences. Here we have an established turn to the left, but in a descending spiral. Action taken to level off may cause the illusion that one is now spinning right, and so a correction is made to the left in order to level off. But of course, this only re-establishes the spin to the left, while leaving the pilot believing that all is well. A similar problem called Coriolis illusion occurs when a pilot turns his head in an aircraft which itself is turning. This means that the pilot now has two conflicting points of reference, namely, the aircraft to the horizon and his own head to the interior of the aircraft. For example, a pilot, during a left turn, may need to turn his head to the right in order to change a radio frequency. As he does so, he creates the illusion that the aircraft is also turning right. So he corrects this by turning more to the left. Disorientation in all of the situations that we have looked at is caused by the processes of the inner ear and is commonly known as vertigo. One slight variation we need to mention is pressure vertigo, which occurs when an imbalance of pressure between the outer and middle ear causes spatial disorientation. It may be intense, but it will only last about 10 seconds. Errors of comprehension or interpretation of visual images are frequently the cause of accidents, because what we see does not fit into the mental model of what we're expecting to see, or what we have seen before in similar circumstances. The Gestalt theory, from the German word for shape, proposes that an individual's understanding of the world results from sorting out and combining multiple cues perceived in the environment until a coherent whole appears that is acceptable to the individual's standards as regards the world. To reach this coherent whole, the brain has developed a set of rules about the combination of all the cues available. These rules are the laws of perceptual organization of the Gestalt theory, and deal with such factors as enclosure, complexity and simplicity, continuity, proximity, symmetry, and similarity. For example, take the letters P, Y, O, L, G, S, T. A psychology student would probably read it as psychologist, whereas a biology student might read it as physiologist. Great care has to be taken when map reading, to ensure that one does not seek out features in a map to confirm one's belief of where one should be rather than where one is. This human tendency is known as confirmation bias. For example, it would be very easy to confuse the towns of Ashford and Canterbury on this map extract, as the 4 roads and 4 railways in and out of the 2 towns are virtually identical. There are many occasions when a pilot can misinterpret the information he gains, principally through his eyes. Firstly, illusions when taxiing are caused by relative movement. It is possible to have an incorrect perception of one's own speed if there are other aircraft moving in close proximity. You will no doubt have experienced a sensation while sitting in a stationary train at a railway station, that you have started to move, when in fact it's the adjacent train that is moving. Similarly, blowing snow may give a false impression of relative speed. While taxiing with a tailwind, the following snow will create the illusion that one is going slower than in reality, or a headwind may make one believe that one is going faster than in reality. Cockpit height will also cause a similar misconception. The pilot of a 747 is 8.66 meters above the ground, and he will think he is taxiing or landing at a slower speed than if he were in a Boeing 767 with a cockpit eye level of about 6.5 meters, or a Seneca, which is even lower. Simple eye-point locators on the central window post allow pilots to adjust their seats to the correct height to ensure the correct perspective out of the cockpit. Illusions on takeoff can be caused by acceleration, which we have looked at already, or by misinterpreting ground lights, lights on boats or lights on hills as stars, especially when emerging out of mist or low cloud. This can lead to a false mental model of where the horizon is, and the pilot may believe that it is safe to fly lower. A bank of low-sloping cloud may cause the pilot to visualize this as the horizon, as flat cloud tops or bottoms are usually parallel to the horizon.